And please do get started on, again, why is Pulsechain going to be successful?
Oh man. So let's start with the fact that I was bearish. Just to let you know, everybody know, I was very bearish to begin with. And I'll get to that on the bear case. So why am I bullish? Here's why I'm bullish. Number one, I understand the psychology of Richard Hart and what he is, how he perceives things, what he's going to do. I think I have a firm grasp on that. That would be the first thing. The second thing is the price is so low and the liquidity is so low and the sentiment is so low. And I've been in the crypto world for almost 12 years and I've seen this before, not just once, but many times. I've seen and felt this when it comes to whether to put my money in and investing. And I have a great track record with proof and evidence just to back my claims. I'm not just making claims and saying something. I can show you my success. That's not to brag, is to actually provide proof and trust you can believe in what I'm saying. So this is eerily the same from 2020. It's got the same feel, the same look, everything. That is two reasons. Another reason is the community. We have a very, capital V, very strong community. I've never in my life, in the entire 12 years of crypto, seen anything like this. They are passionate. I just got off the phone with two people that are in this community. They are fired up. I have never seen emotion and passion like this in any community. I've never seen, I went in that PTGC chat, blown away. The intelligence, the understanding, blown away. I had a conversation with KR yesterday, 27-year-old kid. I'm telling you from experience, mega intelligent
Oh
person.
no! Oh
Mega
no! No!
intelligent
No!
person.
No!
I don't care what your opinion is. You're going to let me talk. Panos, I spoke to him. Very intelligent person. Moon King, I see he's in here. Very intelligent person,
Oh
regardless of your
no!
opinion.
No!
The amount of gain and the community members and the education that I received is invaluable. So another reason that I'm bullish, there's two other reasons that I'm bullish. One, the SEC case. That's one of the major reasons that got me involved in this. It showed action that he cares about growing this at some point. If he was just after a money grab and going to walk away, he would not have spent that amount of money fighting that. Makes no logical sense whatsoever.
Except he would go to prison and have to pay taxes on $350
He's
million
got more
dollars.
than $1 billion. Let me tell you something about having $1 billion. None of that shit matters.
What do
It
you know
doesn't
about
matter.
having a billion? What do you know about having $1 billion?
I never made the claim that I have $1 billion, but I'm very successful and you can see it in my lifestyle. I
Yeah, you can
understand
see it
money
in
and
your
business.
pictures that you did
I
the
am a
same thing. With
Let's stay on topic, okay?
back on target. So that is one bull case. When he nuked the hex yield, that's another big bull case for me. When he did that, his actions are showing me that he's getting ready for round two. And that's all I got to say about the bull case. That's enough. So the bear case, we're going to talk about being bearish. This thing goes to zero. Validators stop validating, goes to zero. Everybody loses all of their money. The way that I see it from where I'm at, it doesn't affect me pain wise because I didn't get involved into it monetarily until recently. I still gained a good education and I made a lot of friends here. But
No,
that
Tiger, dude, you're a good dude, but you just don't realize yet, which you will. You don't realize yet that every single person that lurks in this, they're all the people that you think are teaching you something. They're all trying to get you to put your money into something as fast as they can because they did the exact same thing Richard Hart did. Not internet money, not stoic. There's a lot of people I could name off. Like, first of all, internet money, furthest thing from a rug pull, best chart on Pulse Chain. I swear to God, I'd put every dollar I have on that.
Appreciate the kind words about internet money, but what I would appreciate you doing is we heard Tiger's bull case. All right. In summary, I took that as he because of the community and because of the moves and what seems to be the conviction from Richard Hart, he believes that is the core of the pulse chain bull case. Tiger, in short, is that an accurate summation of the bull case?
Yeah, I love this community. Deep conversations that I have and helping people, and I care about every single one of you, including Jim Rat. I'm having this conversation. He thinks I'm trying to like overshadow him or hurt him due to his ego, and I'm not. I want him to be positive and have deep conversations and come to
No, I'm
reality.
telling you, Tiger, I'm telling you, dude, I did this long before you did in this community. I'm not saying you weren't doing this kind of stuff in other communities. I'm saying, I listen to me for 1 second. And this, I mean this to you as a person. Please just let it go. Don't even answer it when I'm done. I know more about this community. I streamed every single day for 600 days straight about this community, Tiger. I put everything I had, everything into this because I thought Richard was being honest, right? And I was under the illusion of the same one that you're in now, that all these people in here talking about LP pools are smart. They go in those groups and talk about that stuff because it lures people in, dude, to whatever they're selling. It's just business.
Listen to me for a second. The
It's
problem is
just
not that.
business.
The problem is in you. You're your own worst enemy. You are the problem. I don't need you to save me from that. I'm
Why are
very.
you telling me about my problems? I don't have a problem.
I think the community is going to disagree on that.
The community can put their tongue in between the grundle shit on my nuts. I don't
Okay,
give a
okay,
fuck.
okay. Jim Rat, what is the bear case?
Dude, the bear case is that Richard Hart Wynn, aka Richard Schuler, who lost it all in Panama and risked his whole family's life, who lost it all leverage trading, is about to lose it all again. And he could give a fuck. Richard has been stuck. Richard is into dealing, there's so many unsuspecting pairs, guys, and not Tiger and everybody, but the guys that really know about these liquidity pool stuff, which is a rare amount of people. But listen, all these unsuspecting pairs on Pulse Chain, right? That is where the money siphoning comes from, because when a centralized entity has 90% of the supply and he buys up with automated market makers all of these pairs, and then that was the second scam. So there was the Hex. Basically, Richard knew from the numbers that Hex would not do all-time highs again after it started going down. He knew that for certain, probably from the day that he launched it. He just didn't know how high it would go. But then Richard had to capitalize on all that value, or what would happen? He would have to sit through another bear market. No, Richard needs money now. He flipped this whole thing, told everyone it was hard to do software, told everyone it was hard to fork Ethereum. I've seen 150 people do that shit since then, and they ain't bitching about how hard it is, and they didn't need $3 billion. Richard pulled off a money grab, and he's sitting at his house right now, gooning, could care less, has not updated one thing. On the development side, it's a joke. KG knows it's a joke. I don't even have to ask him, and I'm not saying talking for him. I'm just being, out of control. But the truth is, there are no updates on Pulse Chain. It has no innovation, and the only thing that's good about it is the community. I wish right now KG from Internet Money would fork Ethereum. I would put everything over there. Anyone but Richard. Richard is the scum of the earth, and he's done this over and over, and he published it, guys. This dude told everyone that he scammed everyone on Viagra. Yeah, he spammed everyone, made a lot of money. It's not the worst thing in the world. He is an arbitrage value seeking missile, but he does it from his seat. And he has been preparing for this. So the reason Tiger thinks that he's been spending all these monies on lawyers is because he wants Pulse Chain to get better, dude. He does not want to go to federal prison. How do you think Richard would do in prison? Yeah, so my bear case is that Richard truly is a person that will take advantage of people, and if this was in the hands of somebody else. But Richard also manipulated this from day one. Richard has 90% of the supply and convinced everybody that that was a good thing because he understood sloshing, and he understood how guys like Tiger really wouldn't catch up, or me. It took me years to catch up to the information. I'm the only guy, I think, for sure, streamed about Hex every single day. Think about this, guys. I streamed about Hex every single day and made a boatload of money, well, not a good amount of money from it. And now I'm turning around. You know why? Because it took me that long to figure out the lie. I'm not willing to publish things until I'm ready. And as somebody who made a bunch of money on it, I was willing to shill until I was proven otherwise. Richard proved otherwise when a couple key factors happened. One, he decided to be so lazy that he would never update anything. Doesn't even want to manage a liquidity pool or have any competition. No V3. The second that Ethereum went to proof of stake, centralization took on. And that was a big moment for Richard too. Proof of stake is 100% centralized. I think guys like Richard have a host of computers that they just do it on their own, and it's way less centralized than whatever. Freedom of speech, all this freedom of shit. Like, Richard lied to everyone all the time. He told you to fade Bitcoin. He told you to fade ETH. He told you to fade everything. Guess what? FTX got all their money back. If you lost all your money in FTX, you made 100,000 times more than you would have if you actually held Pulse in Hex the whole time. If you lost it all in a rug. So think about this. the rugs did better than Richard Hart. Richard was doing the exact same thing that I'm doing right now. He was calling out the people he knew were frauds because he caught up with the information. And once he caught up with that information, he was certain, because of his experience with centralized exchanges, he was like, I lost money here. I lost money here. I've done the same thing. I've lost money everywhere. That's just crypto if you're doing it. Richard said that. I did that.
Why? I got a
Everyone
question.
does that.
I'm going to stop you for a second. I got a question. Why is this all Richard's fault? Richard this, Richard that, Richard. What about you? Do you bear any responsibility for your own actions?
No, I made a bunch of money on it.
I don't believe you.
Bull
I've been
case even
longer
out.
than anybody up here. I've been up here. I've been in crypto longer than anyone up in this on the speaker panel right now.
Okay, so from your perspective, what is the bull case and the bear case, or one or the other, your choice
Did
for
he
Pulse
really
Chain?
leave?
He just
Come on.
left. Yes,
You
That's
got to
Jimrat
give
did
me
fear.
just
By the
leave.
way, that's
Hey,
fear. You
what
you know
the
that's fear,
fuck,
right?
bro?
You do
I
see the
There's
come
no
fear.
up and the
reason to
guy
leave. I
leaves.
mean, that's the whole purpose of it.
That's fear. I'm not going to talk behind his back, but I would
And
say that is a full example of fear because I didn't come up
you didn't
saying
even
shit.
criticize
Like I
him or do anything yet. It's
not at
ridiculous.
all.
He's a
Okay,
rat.
okay. I know
A
he's listening
rat.
in the background, and that's all that matters.
That's
So
fine.
the bull case. The bull case is very simple. You're in crypto to speculate. I don't trust Richard Hart. I won't say I trust him, but if I were to speculate on anybody, and I've said this multiple times through many interviews, because I'm not a day one Hexagon guy either. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows my story. I believe that he wants his glory and he wants to do what it takes to win.
Me and you
I
on the same
understand
page. It ain't even funny.
I understand individuals like that because I saw that every single day for 9 years playing collegiate football. So I've been around athletes. I understand athletes and what they do. And some people will even cheat to win as far as taking steroids, doing whatever they got to do illegally wise to win
See, this is where
so that
experience
they can be the man.
comes into play. Same with me. I've seen the same thing in business and crypto. And I'm telling you, this is going to win with very high conviction. This is going to win.
That is my speculation. That has always been my only speculation. Now that I have seen some things that he does, he also knows the markets and he knows how to get people to get washed out. I do believe he took in way too much money. That's kind of on the bearish side of things. So that I do believe affected some of his timing, some of his having to wash people out. It's taken a lot longer. I do think that he took way too much money, and we don't know who some of these top holders are. And in my opinion, could be the fact that anybody could invest. In my opinion, there could be some bad actors that see it from a mile away as him as a threat. So I'm kind of mixing in a lot of bearish and bullish stuff in between, but you're going to get at the gist of why I am still actually here because yes, Jim Rat is actually correct. If you held BNB, if you held Doge, if you held name whatever ticker in the top 200, you've outperformed Pulse Chain in the last 3 years.
Sure. And
Years.
my
That
XRP would
that's
be included in that. Yep.
you can't even deny that. That those are facts. But I do believe at the end you will win. I will win. I won't say you will win. I will win at the end if I hold long enough, and it becomes a game of almost chicken
Patience.
in a way.
Patience.
Yeah, patience and chicken.
Like a
If you
nuclear
hold long
bomb.
enough,
Like
because at that point, when all the people like the gym rats are gone, and they will be gone, because what will happen is
like
you're
a
just
nuclear
basically kicking
bomb.
you're
Kaboom.
kicking a dead horse. You're kicking a dead horse at that point, and there's going to be a point where all these guys are kicking dead horse, and they just leave. Jim Rat already left once, so that proves that it can be done, and he comes back hoping that it'll be better. But in my reality, he came back because he wanted clout. He either got bored, he either needs money for investments and stuff like that. He's not back to help people. Like he's already said to KR space when he first came back, and I said, don't trust
Bro,
this guy.
I was
I said,
about to
don't
say
trust this
this.
guy.
Bro, I was literally about to say this, right? When Jim Rat Crypto come back into the ecosystem, guess who was guiding him? Me and Panos were the ones who were literally teaching him everything that he didn't know. He didn't know that ink inflation got cut. He didn't know that the Richard Hart staked his hex where yield went down. He didn't know none of this shit. And he was on our spaces saying, guys, this is the best spaces that I've been since in crypto. I've got the screenshots, I've got everything.
I saw it from a mile away. Even live, I said, "Watch out for him." I'm telling you right now.
He
This
He
blows
was
guy
like the
has
blowing,
a
wind. He
bro.
this
blows.
guy has a motive, and I'm telling y'all, this guy has a motive.
Bro, to me personally, I'll tell you exactly what it is, right? It's clout chasing.
Yep.
Right now, all he is doing is trying to be that one kind of guy that stands against everyone and be the clout chaser kind of thing, right? To get his image back. Even his streams, I've got screenshots where there's only 3 people watching his stream when he come back in the beginning, bro. I've got
He's
everything.
setting himself up for failure
Well, no, no, no. Actually he has nothing to lose. So, see, a lot of people don't see the real game that he's
himself is
playing.
what he's going
He
to lose.
has
He's going to
nothing
lose
to
himself.
lose because he is still invested. So, money wise, he will win. He can disappear and take the
But
money. He
but let me
won.
say this, and you
And
know
if he's
this.
right, he looks like a superstar. He won.
But you know this, Moon King. I'm going to tell you this, and you're going to agree with what I got to say. Money will not solve his problems. They will not fix it.
No, no, I can't give him 6 inches in height. So, no, just play.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Money, no matter how much money
Yeah,
you
yeah, I know.
it,
I
it
just put a
won't
joke
fix
in there,
it.
but
Won't
yeah,
fix the problems.
no, no, but it doesn't. Once the price goes up, that's the thing. Like some people, you can't be in this space. In my opinion, the saving people, and I tell mice all the time. Like I say, hey guys, like you guys trust me to give you plays and this and that, and like don't verify from me. Don't try. I did a play like 3 hours ago. Said I did not. I just got word from sources. I did not. I don't know anything about this coin. I don't know anything. This you guys go do your own research. I'm letting you guys know that right off the bat. Like that's the thing. We have to realize that this space. I think the one thing with Pulse Chain and Tiger said it earlier. It's such a strong and tight knit community
Holy shit.
that
Unbelievable.
it's so gullible. Now there are people in this chat right now that I know have hundreds of millions of dollars. A lot of these people are lying to you and they do not have money. These are the facts. So the gullibleness that you get in this community is from just straight up like even the people that you trust is bullshitting you. So Richard Hart, you got to put him on the same totem pole, which means you have to not just trust and verify, but realize if you're in this like with all your money, you're like, is it smart? Because it doesn't take that much money to freaking retire in crypto. It just doesn't. It took me
No,
nineteen
very
hundred
little.
bucks.
Very,
It took me $1,900.
that's true. That's very
So
true.
I'm just letting y'all know if you're way over your head, where if you lost all your money and your money went to zero, and it would affect you in the same way it's affecting Jim Rat right now, because I
Obviously.
don't think
Holy
he's
shit.
I don't think he's trying to save people. I think he's affected by the price, and that's what I wanted to tell him, and that's actually helping him out more than he thinks it is. Because he's lashing out, and you can tell the people who have too much invested.
He would be one
They
of them.
lash out at the they lash out people at like myself who are going on other chains and making money. So they lash out. Why are you blah blah blah? What do you do? Blah, blah. You're a scammer. Blah, blah, blah. But why? Because I'm making money on a different chain. Why? Because I'm not bullish. Like I'm not a hex maxi. I'm not a pulse chain maxi. I'm a bad guy all of a sudden. Nope. No one has came anything has said B roots. I have full bulletproof that B roots made a coin. When he said I made a coin, I have never made a coin in my life. Still to this day. You know how easy it could be for me to raise $25 million by making a coin? Guarantee it can easily be done. Have I done it? No. Why? Because I can easily make money doing other things.
Well, here's my thing with you. I look at you. You know, I hated you at the beginning. Like before I ever actually talked to you, I looked at your page.
Everybody does.
I was like, that was my honest opinion of you.
This intention of this space is, and I see other people have their hands up. I want bull cases and I want bear cases. And I want people to say what they don't like about the bull cases. And I want people to say what they don't like about the bear cases. And I, as someone who believes in Pulse Chain and as a community that believes in Pulse Chain, let's strengthen our entire argument. So I see hands up. I saw Litiverse and then execute. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me up here, man. And I'm sorry this kind of went like this, but
Here's my bull case. And I believe the builders and all the communities that come from these builders are strong enough and dedicated and have enough convictions to make things positive and to see it out in the long term. Now, my bear case is we're just openly flooding ourselves. We have too many people like GRC going everywhere crying and adding extra bad attention to us, and he's trying to take away from all of the good things that people have built. And I'm upset that he left because I really wanted to ask him this question, and I hope it's okay for me to ask it anyway because him and I had this conversation already yesterday. So he already knows my opinion on him, and that is that I don't mind his opinion, but he goes around into all these positive spaces where people are talking positive and encouraging building, and he comes in here and does the same thing. He comes and hijacks, starts screaming, saying ad hominems. He talks about having proof. He has no proof. All he's doing is using hearsay and slandering a man's name. This will get you in trouble court-wise. Then here's my question, right? Let me get straight to it. So in one hand, he talks badly and tells the community to suck his balls. And then in the same breath, he gives you guys internet money respect. But doesn't his statement not include internet money since we're all builders? So where's the real respect for the chain? That's my question to him. I really would have liked him to answer that because I'm really calm and I'm trying to understand what's his end game here, right? He comes right after we beat the SEC and things are very bullish. His timing is very suspicious with the Interpol letter, and he's trying to be negative once again, footing. Then he says he has good intentions, but you want people to have hope, and then you bring the house down on their heads. Then you say you don't care about streaming on Twitter and you don't care about Twitter, but immediately you're streaming on YouTube and using Richard Hart's name every 2 seconds. And then he has no character. He goes into DMs and starts putting private messages in public. This man backpedals and has no smarts himself. I would love to see him debate somebody who's actually really smart. And that's not me, but I have good points to make because I watched this guy work from the sidelines without even saying anything, right? So that's just all I have to say, and I hope I made my point clearly without getting frustrated or being too emotional about it. Right? I'm European, so I get kind of frustrated and very dedicated and passionate. So I hope I don't sound upset.
I appreciate you very much coming on here and speaking your opinion.
Well, okay, and I hear that perspective, hear that opinion, and again, we're making it about GRC. And what we need to look at more so than him as one individual is that there are more individuals like him than there are individuals like us who actually believe in this. More people don't believe in Pulse Chain than do believe in Pulse Chain. So instead of us all spending that mental energy and attention trying to convert or attack or bring down one man, what are we going to do to make a good, solid bull case to the entire crypto industry that is significantly bigger than any one of us?
So KG, I think when you're saying or making it about him, in my opinion, you kind of gotta make it about him, mainly because he's just one individual, which is I hear what you're saying, but there are other individuals that really, once again, the community is kind of gullible. It brings them in. So, for example, I personally don't think that this space, including him with the debate, is a smart thing to do, mainly because you're giving him a spotlight. Now, if
Exactly.
you wanted to just give that spotlight to Tiger and he can talk about him, but you put it in a positive route, it's fine. But the reason why it's about him is because we're giving him that actual spotlight to where he's growing bigger and bigger and bigger. So the community as a whole has to just kind of ghost him. And the reality, he actually is getting ghosted, but he's doing a good job of bringing in people to make a space big enough to where it's like, oh, I want to hear what he's saying. Oh, what is he actually saying? So what that does is it actually makes him bigger than who he really is, and he truly is a nobody when he was in the community. And the reason why he left is because he wasn't gaining the views from the community in itself. Because at the time that he left, the community was more of the Hex Maxi, Pulse Chain Maxi type people, and then it changed. So since he came back, he's realized it's changed, But I think the money part of him losing money is which has him going back to lashing out. So the lashing out, he has to be ghosted. But that's everybody that like talks the way he does. They have to be ghosted. Because if your real reason is you think it can do numbers from here, why are you even giving someone as small as him, literally and figuratively, that time of day?
Well, my vision was I was going to convert and be friendly and find common ground with him, but he has no, there is no negotiating with this. He completely surprised me, to be honest with you.
So I wanted to say something in this regard, right? Uh, KG, I completely respect your, don't talk about him because he's not in the space. But technically speaking, he was talking shit about me and I was not on the space. So I think I'm entitled to say what I'm about to say. Number one, us giving him like exactly what Moon King said. Us giving him this attention is what's keeping him thriving to keep going on. If everyone who's bullish or everyone who doesn't agree with him just ghosted him, I guarantee you, eventually that spark that he's trying to start is gonna die out. And you know how it's gonna die out? It's simple: green candles. Right, there's a lot of people complaining about the price right now. Right, a lot of people looking at Pulse Chain and going, "Oh, great, we're not moving up." Guess what, bro? Or guess what, guys? Have you checked the general market? Have you seen where Ethereum is right now? Have you seen where everything is? Ain't Sonic right now currently out sitting at all-time low? Ain't everything in the market currently crashing to a certain degree? Yeah, meme coins go up and down, but I'm talking, the big coins. Are they not all currently slowly bleeding out? And yes, we do have sell pressure currently. People need to understand liquidity, right? So much liquidity has been removed off the chain completely, right? And it's a thing of, yeah, we can go up easier, but guess what? We can go down easier as well. That's another thing. Another thing that people don't realize is there was a whole sacrifice. People that sacrificed, and maybe, yes, it looks like people are wrecked, but a lot of these guys that sacrificed are still in profit. Why? Because Hex from the bottom is still in profit. For example, this guy that's been selling recently, right? We've got a big ass whale that has been selling and dumping the chain down. I think he sold $2.2 million in the last 4 or 5 days, right? Dude had $107 million in 2021 in EHEX. Guess what? Guess how much he's got now? He's got $12 million left, and he's selling, and he sold $20 million a year and a half ago as well. So of course we're gonna go down, like I said, because of liquidity. But when these green candles come, watch the narrative change. Watch how everyone starts bull posting. It's bound to happen. And then everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, Richard Hart is the greatest. Once we get to sack price or above sack price, this community is like girls going to a party on their own. Vulnerable. So vulnerable they don't know where to face. I've literally witnessed it with my two eyes. Someone literally
I'm dying
arguing.
here.
Bro, literally, someone arguing with Jim Rat Crypto, and then a week later they're saying that he was right because their mentality is not here. Their mentality is in their emotionally in their bank, right? Like they're looking at their portfolio, they're seeing it go down, and they're like, "Holy shit, I'll do from
Which is
this."
another reason why it's going to pop so hard.
When there's a sale in a certain store and you like that store, what's everyone doing? Everyone's rushing to that store and buying whatever they want to buy. There's currently a sale on Pulsechain. Why is everyone crying? Sales come and go, right? That's another thing. Jim Rat Crypto said that he still has hex stakes or he still has money in Pulsechain. Okay, so let's take it out of, I said this point yesterday in the space. Let's take it out of crypto completely, right? Let's take the concept out of crypto and put it into IRL. You put shares into a business. That business that you put shares into starts, they're not they're not making enough profits right now. Their profits are going downhill a little bit. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna go out there and tell everyone, you know what, this is dog shit? Or are you gonna go out there and try and help people, try and help the company that you put your shares into to try and make the price go up?
I mean, at the end of the day, I still think that if the problem is the community is very gullible and like they'll just take what they'll take. So like for example, KR, like when you say like the market as a whole is down, yes they're down, but from the Bitcoin low, they're not down.
Yeah, no, I agree
So
with you,
that's where
bro.
the lashing is out. That's where the lashing out is coming at, and it's very respectable lashing out. And in my opinion, just on that alone, is rightfully so to be lashed
Do
out.
you remember our
The
first
problem
conversation
is yeah yeah
where
that
I said XRP
the
was going to
problem
take off and
is
Bitcoin is going to take off, and you guys are going to be looking at me making all this money and you're going to be pissed? That's what you're talking about.
Well, no. I don't think it's that. I just think that if you're comparing to the market as a whole,
Disappointing.
Pulse Chain is not even with the market, even when the market was going up. We were actually going down in rankings as the market was going up. We weren't going up as much as the market was. So that's where our struggle is as a price performance, as price performance. But in my opinion, that is all part of the plan.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
absolutely.
down to that point, right? B roots. I agree with you to a certain degree, right? Yes, we haven't been exactly performing exceptional, and we've had certain FUD events come along, and we've seen people even like what's his name, funding Jim. I forgot his name. Funding Jim. Capitulate their bag and sell over $1 million. We've
Yeah.
seen other people sell, right, because of the pdai extraction. People were not confident, like with their holdings, they weren't confident and people were selling, and that's when we hit the lows. But to me, it's
Yeah.
a thing of liquidity, right? And to me, it's a thing of just before all of this happened, Ink got cut insanely. I think it's like a 50x by a 50x or something along them lines. Ink got cut, right? In regards to how much ink per second you earn while farming. So a lot of people pull their liquidity, and the chain right now is currently at the lowest point in regards to liquidity, right? And obviously we know, right? Things can dump and things can pump. We also did do low key from that bottom a 2.5x, right? There's been, like, I see a lot of people complaining and crying, but you've had countless opportunities to take profits and go into stables and then buy dips. It's never gonna be just this. Is not nothing against
You
super
got,
trades.
but even that though, we're different people because Richard Hart has trained those people for years not to do that. So that's the issue that we got to really like look at how they were trained, how they were told not to trade. Even though we would come on board and be killing these people, and that's why even before the change, I was like, we're gonna run circles around you guys. I'm telling you, because y'all don't even know half of how to win. And if this thing goes inside, there's ways to do it, but they were trained. Majority of this community was trained not to trade. That's why it took so long for Pump Tires to come out because
Mm.
it would. I mean, who would ever thought Crypto Coffee would make his own coin and Matty Allen would be launching and taking all these like freaking no liquidity coins out?
I'm bridging that
That was
IP
like
code. Who would have
that
thought
was
that,
like a
right?
shock of all shocks to a lot of these people. But that's
Yeah,
what
I
he
agree.
created. That's what he
But
created.
Richard Hart himself said it's all about updating your worldview. I don't like look, I come from a perspective of I bought the top of Hex because I liked Richard Hart's persona. I love the fact that the guy was like, you're broke, you can't do this. That's just me as a person. There's some people that find it offensive. Me personally, I see that and I want to grind harder. That's just the way I am, right? Not everyone is the same. That's why I bought Hex, not because there was an influence. I didn't know who Jim Rat Crypto was until he jumped on our spaces. And I've been in Pulse Chain from day one. I've been in eHex from the top to the bottom. So to me, right, it's a thing of people need to update their worldview, right? And long term, if you're here long term, right, and you have a long term mentality, and people who were in Hex, there was countless 70% dips. There was two or three 90% dips in Hex on the way up doing that 10,000x. What did they do then? That's the thing. I wasn't in the community back then. I don't know. Was they crying and yapping as well back then? Not everyone, because I know there's a lot of solid people who are not crying, right? Because at the end of the day, right, I see everything as business. I have this business mentality, right? And if you're crying about a product, who on God's earth are you going to be onboarding?
Cases, the thing technically has no utility since day one. It has no use case. Same with Hex. Hex has its narrative was the better Bitcoin. It is not the better Bitcoin. This could be the top of the cycle, and every single person on this chain has technically just missed out on 930 days of gains being on any other ecosystem. BTC went from 15K to 120, give or take. ETH went from 850 to 4K, and everybody sat on this chain just saying Richard's going to pump the bags. And realistically, I was saying that's the stupidest thing ever. Trusting another man to pump the bags is disgusting. You guys should all be onboarding, going out there, doing the onboarding yourself, pumping the bags yourself, not expecting somebody else to pump the bags. And now that I actually look at it, that's the only reason why this chain's going to go up. Nobody's going to come here. There's way better chains.
I've been onboarding the hell out of people.
Yeah, but you're also new too. Like I'm talking about if you guys have been here since the start, like
Oh,
you
older
gotta
people.
you gotta zoom way out, right? And it's just like I used to like KDP used to come into our spaces and be like, "Yeah, Richard's gonna pump the bags." I'm like, "Why would you say that out loud? That's disgusting." Like that is not a narrative you should ever tell somebody. Like you should tell them like it's good because of this, it's good because of that. I don't hear that anymore. Like, can somebody tell me why somebody should come to this chain? Because like you can't sell it to me anymore, other than Richard's gonna pump the bags.
I can definitely sell it to you.
Are you bearish? Are you bearish on DeFi
This isn't DeFi.
because Richard owns 90% of the supply?
Do you own any Pulsechain or Hex?
No, I dumped a long time ago, and I do own it. It's just on Ethereum. I've been repurchasing the bags as it's going lower, but I sold pretty much week one at 10 cents, and then
So
yeah,
why are you repurchasing at these lows when you? Because what you just said, you just made it sound like it's over and it's dead. So why are you repurchasing now if it's
it's
over
just
and it's
limit
dead?
orders and the small amounts, give or take, and
Even
any
at this point, and you think the cycle might be over?
That's a bold
The
statement.
cycle's over.
I didn't say
You
I
know what I mean?
think.
Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever
No, no,
heard.
no.
If
The
I
you
said
think
cycle is
that,
over is
I,
crazy to say that.
I didn't say I think that. I just said if it is because it's been running for 900 days. That's
That's
all.
a big if, don't you think?
Yeah, of course,
No,
of
it's
course.
not. It's actually not a big if. So do you want to hear the
Hold on,
bull case or the
hold on.
bear
I want to go back
case?
to what somebody was saying. Is this true DeFi? No, I would like it to be true DeFi, but Richard's actions keep making it not true DeFi.
We sacrifice for it. And a lot of people want to block you, mute you, ghost you, including Richard Hart, who supposedly believed in it all. I did pin a couple stuff to the top, which is maybe removed or not. But basically, if you watch the video of Richard Hart in 2018, he explains exactly why he made Hex. And it's not for glory, guys. He said to Ivan on Tech in 2018, January, February ish, that he thought it's all over. Crypto's trash. It's a bubble that's going to burst, and you've got one final pump, basically. And so what he said was, I'm going to create a trash coin and I'm going to take the liquidity from people because this whole thing is going to be done, right? That was his thesis, his investment idea, and that's what he did. It wasn't for glory. So watch that video. Ivan on Tech
Can
debates
you
Richard
DM that to
Hart.
me?
Sure. It's Ivan on Tech versus
can I
Richard Hart.
ask
It's
who is
on both
speaking
their
right now? Because
channels.
I do not see
Oh, okay.
anyone speaking.
Neither do I. I know this guy was on our space yesterday. I
The
think his
voice
state
sounds
government
familiar.
Yeah,
released
Voice,
his
I'm
thing.
not a fan of
were
them.
you once like a huge Hex maxi? It sounds
Oh yeah,
familiar,
he
but I
pulled
have
the
no
top
idea
of
who's
Hex,
Correct.
bro.
who's
He
talking
needs a
right now.
hundred X. He needs a hundred X to be in
No,
profit.
no, no. I'm
So
trying to be. I'm being honest. I have no idea
No,
who's
he
speaking right
stated
now.
it on the space that he needs a hundred X on Hex to be in profit. That's what he stated on the space.
The guy's insane. I do not like him from
So we
yesterday alone.
use data.
That's
So
okay.
let's
That's
use
fine.
some
That's fine.
data.
That's just
Nobody
want to know
will
who I'm
care
talking to.
about this chain if the people on the chain don't care about it. So what Moon King was saying and KG was saying is pretty true, that not only do people not even know about it, but if they ever do find out, the charts better look better than they do right now, or else they're not joining. Right. So we have to care first, whether it's Hex, whether it's pulled, whatever it is that you want to show people, it better look good, or else they're not going to get involved. The bear
I
case
want to go back to what I want to
is
go back
also
to
Can
what we were
I
saying
Ethereum.
before.
argue for the bull case?
Uh,
Yeah, no,
I
hold
got
on.
one
I want to
bull
go back to what we were
case for
talking
you.
about
Just
before. Highway, hold on.
one sec.
Um,
One bear case.
Let him finish his
Ethereum.
bull case.
The sack bags. Yeah, I got two more points. Sack bags tied to Ethereum is pretty bearish towards the end of a cycle. If this is the end, then we're going to get mega wreck because ETH is going to go down worse than Bitcoin. So that's going to be bearish on Pulsechain because everybody thinks, oh, maybe the ETH will come over, and maybe it doesn't. But it's a bad optic to tie yourself to something going down. And the bull case is Bitcoin goes up a lot, and that's probably the only hope for altcoins right now. So you better hope and pray that Bitcoin goes up a lot and we actually have a blow off top, or else it's over, guys. The cycle's done. The only way you're going to get in all seasons if you actually have a normal Bitcoin blow off top, which we have not had and we might not have, and we're down to a couple months left. So
Did you not say
good
that
luck
all
to
the
us all.
I
altcoins
have
are
an
going to zero?
argument for the bull case. Can I argue the bull case?
Go ahead,
All
argue the
right.
bull
So
case.
basically, yeah, unfortunately, Pulse Chain is not tied to Bitcoin. Otherwise, we would be dragged up by Bitcoin. We are very much tied to Ethereum, and Ethereum is down a lot right now. Last year, when Ethereum was at $4,000, my personal portfolio was a 5x higher. So, what do you think is going to happen when Ethereum hits $10,000? I heard you guys saying that you think this is the end of the cycle. It's called a 4 year cycle. It's only been 3.5 years. It's not a 3.5 year cycle. It's a 4 year cycle. The cycle hits at the end of this year.
So before you talk about
Lastly,
cycles too much, a bull cycle is supposed to last 3 years and the bear is supposed to last one. In our community, the bear lasts 4 years, followed by 2 seconds of a pump from Richard. That's not much of a cycle. So I don't know. I don't take cycle advice or information from anybody in this community at this point because they don't
Dude,
know what a
look
cycle
at
is.
It's
well,
pretty relevant.
highway. Look
it's a
highway.
4 year cycle,
Look
buddy.
at the
We made
past
money
4 year
from
cycles.
June,
2017 and 2021.
from
The
July
year after, the
2022,
year after the
ETH
halving,
bottomed. Since then, it's
we
gone up.
always see. What are you talking about, dude? Look at after the Bitcoin high. If we go 28 days, 28 or 29 days, we're going to see Ethereum pump. I think just based off past cycles entirely.
Ethereum's not doing what it did
There's
past cycles.
there's
Either is
there's
Bitcoin.
two top cryptos in the world of crypto. The top crypto is Bitcoin. The second top crypto is Ethereum. The stock, or I'm sorry, Wall Street has more Ethereum than like anybody. They are hoarding it, and you better believe it. When the money printers get turned on, all the money that flows into the stock market during that time, a lot of it's going to flow into Bitcoin. It's going to flow into Ethereum. Once it
Insane.
just
Yeah.
fucking
Oh, you
sits
nailed it.
there,
You're nailing it.
Don't you think that's the
then you guys
lamest?
are absolutely
So,
crazy.
Don't you
so
think
Buy
that's
that's
the
the metal
appreciated
man.
watches.
Are you actually
When Ethereum
crypto?
hits $10,000, Richard's going to be able to put away 500 million off to the side, and then he's going to have $1 billion to be able to pump into the markets, and then he's still going to have a couple hundred million just sitting there
Can you
doing
imagine
whatever he
him
wants.
bragging about this? Can you imagine him talking about this? Holy shit.
This just proves
Richard would
Execute
love to
right.
say this.
Execute said everybody in this
Super
community is
egotistical.
hoping that Richard's going to buy up everything, and that's the only bull case left. So Execute's obviously right because that's what
That's
both of you are saying,
that's the
which I
look.
don't like
That's such
That's
a
the
middlemen.
look.
linear,
I don't
small
want a
He's
minded
going to
middleman.
Go
do
view.
tell
that. I'm telling
everybody
you,
you
he's going to do
know
that.
that
The
a
entire
billion
chain.
dollars is going to flow into this chain. Go
That's
tell
it.
everyone you know, hey, a
That's the whole
billion
strategy.
dollars
Execute is
coming in.
spot on. Spot on. That's what
All right,
he's going to
that's
do
how we're
this.
doing it. Postcards now should
I'm
say there's a
Brazology
billionaire
tagging
about
now.
to buy this coin. You should buy this coin because a billionaire is
Hey,
gonna buy it.
speaking of postcards, I got my door-to-door app coming along for Hex. If anyone's interested in joining, Hex door-to-door sales.
Nice,
When
Lay
that
out.
bro.
$1 billion flows in, the less of you that are here, the better for me. That
Hey,
means that I
execute.
get a bigger piece of the pie. So if you guys want to like not
Rishkology,
buy Richard Hart
don't you think that's the most disgusting thing you could ever tell somebody?
He's not in this space right now. He's humble Richard. It's a different world.
Nah.
No. He's going
the
to do
only
this
reason
to
why
brag.
the only reason why Richard could never say what I'm saying is because of legalese. He didn't want to get, tackled by the SEC.
He's already
This
shown
makes
us.
you look bad, guys. Please.
No. This is reality. This is who he is.
If you bought
This
Bitcoin,
is
you
what's
wouldn't
going to
need
happen.
Richard. And that's why I'm emphasizing that we can do this without Richard. You buy Bitcoin, you wait till it goes up, and then you buy your menial altcoins and pump them if you want
So
to.
Dude, that's
HYBTC, I've
nothing
got a
new.
You
question
make
for you.
no. You
HYBTC,
are
It's
I've
so
called
out
got a
of breath.
question
altcoin
for you.
season. And since we
All right.
disobeyed the rules of altcoin season, we didn't buy enough Bitcoin. We didn't buy Hex after we bought the Bitcoin and Bitcoin pumped.
That's amazing,
We
bro. That's
broke
amazing. Let me ask you a question.
altcoin
Where do you see
season rules.
Bitcoin coming from here? Where do you see Bitcoin going from here? Do you think Bitcoin from the current
Michael
price it's
Saylor
at
just said
now
$21
is
million.
going?
A
Oh, so
million
you're
$21
dollars. I
oh, so
yeah.
you're
million.
listening to someone who's bought a shit ton of Bitcoin and is shilling his
Bitcoin is
bag.
right now is starting a inverse head and shoulders on the 5 day chart. I've been talking about for a month. It's printing it
Yep.
right now.
If
I told you three
if it
weeks
goes
ago that it would
down,
go down to 93K, and we're still sitting above 100K.
We can go into stats, right? And we can go back into 8th of January 2024 when Ethereum went up a 2.5x. What did PLS do? It done a 4.6x until March the 8th with 15x the liquidity that there is right now. Then you can also look at ETH April 2, it topped 60%. Pulse went up 116%, literally recently, with less liquidity. So that's just me comparing it to Ethereum. So, this guy is telling everyone buy a Bitcoin, but what's going to do more gains long term? Sorry, in this cycle itself, yes, we're going to have a drop, right? All altcoins are going to drop once we get into the bear market. If you hold GGs, that's you round tripping your bags. But what's going to do more gains? Pulse chain or Bitcoin, bro? Why are you going to buy Bitcoin when you've got something that's currently at like an 80% discount that is going to go to sacrifice, whether you like it or not, and will potentially go way higher? Sometimes it's just common sense.
The Hex OGs are
Anyway, I'm
still up
done.
10x, guys. So you think it's low, they think it's high. They're
Yeah, we
selling
can't
for
go
a
back
reason
to we can't go
because
back
they're
in
up.
time to buy.
All right. So, Dragon, you've had your hand up for a while. Go ahead and jump in. If someone else has their, please put your hands up. I do need to cycle some people down because we have others requesting the mic. I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to speak. Dragon, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say my bull case scenario. I think that we are going to revisit the lows from the past year in the core coins, and then after that, more people will start to yeet, and then we will revisit the all time highs for Ethereum, and that will make the pulse chain ecosystem to start to grow again. Also, I do think that Richard Hart, in one way or another, will use the funds that we have on Ethereum. I don't know if he's planning, for example, some kind of stable coin that he can use the Ethereum to mint them, or if he is going to put the Ethereum straight into the ecosystem. I do think also that he is going to change the emission of the minting of the farms. He is going to open again the farms. He is going to pair again and make able to pair the Bitcoin with the copy that we have over here and more other pairs, and that will attract even more users from the other chains that will start to invest into us. And because there is less liquidity right now, there is a big chance that the pumps will be even higher. I do think that this is like kind of a plan that he said multiple times on the YouTube videos, that he is going to shake the weak hands. Also, he said at first that he also thinks that people will be trading the big copies left and right, and he thinks that is that's also part of the plan. So I think that he will use the big copies, because when the copy, the Bitcoin copy, started to move, he did like a test, and then the farms disappear. So he said like, oh yeah, this Richard Hart law, it works. So this is all part of the plan. And also, I do think that the Ethereum that we have, we can keep growing that Ethereum and do good things for the ecosystem. So we are backed by Ethereum. This is not an empty chain, and I think that this is it's not a 4 year cycle. It's a little bit longer, but we are going to be good. But we're going to revisit the lows, and then a little bit of a big dip. People, yeah, yes, crying left and right, and then we're going to be fine. That's my opinion.
Thank you for sharing. So, we've heard two bull cases, being that Richard Hart is going to inject capital and pump the bags. I'd still be curious to hear some other bull cases that aren't, again, not to say that will or won't happen. Nobody knows for sure, truly. It may not. We don't know. Arguably, Richard probably doesn't want us going around saying that too much based on one of his recent tweets, right? He's been very, I don't even think, cryptic about saying, quote, go do the work, which I think he's still trying to destroy the expectations of things. So, if anybody has any other bull cases, I'd be curious to hear those. But Triplet Dad, you got your hand up. Then Coach X.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate the time. Thanks for holding this space. It's pretty awesome. only comment I have on that is if these guys are wanting to talk about Jim Rat, even though he's not here, he made the choice to leave, right? So that's kind of his decision. He could have stayed
I
here.
hated that he left. I did not want him to leave. I
Yeah,
genuinely wanted to help him. Genuinely.
yeah. So that's my only comment on that. But other bull cases, I think everybody here is always just focused on Richard Hart, which makes sense, right? But they're the largest ETH holders are involved in this chain, right? You have Godwell. How that guy's got like 114,000 ETH, doesn't he? That number might be off, but during Sacrifice, I remember looking at his wallets. They're the largest ETH holders are involved with Pulsechain, not just Richard Hart.
And that
They
says a
all
lot.
they all have huge bags of Pulse, and I know Rackham. Some people like him, some people don't. But he put out a post the other day that said there's a handful of whales, 5 or 6 that are going to stick around, and the ones that are in that top 10 of that list are going by the wayside and eating their bags as we speak, right? There are a number of big bag holders that would be on that top ETH holder list, right? That are involved in this chain. And I've been building a ton on this chain. We probably built more projects on this chain than anybody with a very low amount of funds. And we're continuing to build. We have more stuff coming out soon. Just like you, KG, you guys have been building forever, but it's just been on one project, and that's going well. So congrats on that. I think there's a ton of builders on this chain that have a lot of time and money invested. And the community in this on this chain is second to none. We've been doing a little reconnaissance on other chains, ties over looking at Sonic, because our Bistro project is our OTC is on Sonic as well. They're having the same arguments and downtimes that this chain has. 100%. People over in Sonic are freaking ripping each other's faces off right now. It's unbelievable. Same arguments we have here on Pulse Chain. We're just sometimes too close to the problem to see what's actually going on. That's all I got, buddy. Thanks for having me up.
Fair points, Triplet Dad. I hear you. And hey, thank you for being a pulse chain builder. If you're considering out there being a pulse chain builder, there are great builders on here who can help you accomplish your goals. So thanks, Triplet Dad. Go ahead, Coach, and then Kyle, or Coach Kyle, execute.
So, guys, I'm just gonna just state the facts in terms of liquidity pools and just how much liquidity was happened back in the past. So, looking at January 8th to about March 8th, ETH went up about 83%. At the same time, Pulsechain went up 279%, with 15x the liquidity amount of liquidity. So the pump the chain, it took that much more funds to actually do that. So back in April, when Ethereum went up 63%, Pulsechain went up 116%, PulseX went up 123%. So taking out the emotions, taking out pump my bags, all that kind of bullshit. It's just look at the math, look at the ratios, and now we have 15x the amount of liquidity that we used to have, and it's done on purpose. So yes, it goes down that much more when there's sell pressure, but just understand Hart's law, what he actually taught us, and just look at the effects and look at the percentages on the daily time frame with ETH or Pulsechain to the upside. Of course, there were billions of dollars that was sacrificed for this chain. And of course, people are going to take profits. People are going to get emotional. People are going to get bitchy. But the facts and the reality are the liquidity factors and just knowing the magnitude of the potential once Ethereum goes up. We have no control over Ethereum. We have no control over war. We have no control over human emotions because 95% of the humans are still walking in the matrix. It's just like, for me, what I try to preach is just the facts and reality. And that is actually the reality. Those are the facts. And anybody who's coming onto the space and trying to onboard people to Robinhood, like the last individual, do not listen to a word he says because he doesn't know anything about cryptocurrencies. Thank you, guys.
Kyle, you dropped your hand down. Do you still want to talk?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. So I was gonna bring up to execute. I was gonna ask him, bullish or bearish. Tomorrow, article comes out. Richard was eating caviar and he choked on it and croaked over. God forbid that doesn't happen, but just say it does. Say the wallet was maybe recovered, but it was all mangled for some reason. So they know where the wallet is, or they know where his ledger is, and Richard doesn't exist anymore. Bullish or bearish?
This
We come
ecosystem would go to
decentralized,
zero.
huh?
This ecosystem would go to zero.
Would it though? Because it would become more decentralized according to.
Yeah, but it's still built upon him. Like, listen to this space. Every single person, I asked them to like show it to me. All they said was Richard's going to buy the bag so far.
Very intelligent people with, lots of logic, want to grasp onto things as far as why it's going to go up. Those things are dropping off because yield, for example, dropped off. A lot of targets haven't been hit. The price is still low. So there's a lot of fatigue that's happening, and a lot of intelligent people can't necessarily get past the emotional point, which is why you're going to see some people are getting mad, some people selling and exiting out, and they're going to get charged with the negative emotion. They're going to bring in the logic from that source, and they're going to start saying, well, why not, right? Why can't we, why should we stay here, what's going on? And Richard Hart is a scammer and all these things. So to me, these are things that Richard wants to have happen. He uses that so that the true believers stay. That's the thing. Now, believe is something that you can't really grasp onto it. You don't say, I believe the sky is blue. You know the sky is blue. Once everybody knows the sky is blue, it's too late, right? The speculation's out the window. So we're still in speculation phase. I can't speak with 100% certainty, hey, yeah, this is going to happen. I can only look at the chart and say, hey, it's still within a range. I understand as far as liquidity is concerned that, in order for a price to get to another stage, it's really up to the person with the most amount of money. I mean, you can't just, people buying and selling and plebs and stuff like that. It's not going to drive the price up, even if it is the main whale, right? Can basically knock it back down to keep the narrative going and to keep the shakers from basically keep the shakers shaken out. So if that's the goal, that's going to happen if that's what the boss wants. And in my speculation, that's what's going on. So, you're going to have at some point in my speculation, when the time is right, it's going to shoot up to another range that he can decide where to shoot it up to, creating a new support and a new ceiling to where a new price is going to be. So that's my bullish case. It's not going to happen prematurely. I've said that before, because this is what I would do. If it happens prematurely while everything else is down, what's going to happen? You're going to create an exit liquidity. So you don't want that. So the bear keeps shaking out. The bear is here for a reason, to have that purpose, and you want that to continue. If you're looking at it from this standpoint, like I think KR said, which I wanted to point to as well, is the Rothschild and these people, they like these low prices. They like people fearing. They like the blood bleeding because they know, hey, I'm getting it at a discount. If you look at it from that point, you should be pretty happy. I am, because I'm like, shit, the next check I'm getting, I'm buying at these lower prices. But based off speculation, not with 100% certainty that the price is ever going to go up. I don't know. But I have a speculation that it will, and that's my risk. And some people go in too much. They get too emotional. They get hijacked by negative emotions. They come over here and spew out and get mad. Fine, that's fine. But I'm still 100% sure. I mean, in my belief that it's going to go up, and there's more to it. As far as I know, people close to him that know him, and he's already been rich. He's been rich for a long time. So but everything that's playing out right now is kind of like part of the process and part of the motion.
Who's speaking here? I can't tell who's speaking.
It's me.
It's
Yoon?
YOON.
Oh, this is Yoon. This is Yoon speaking.
Yeah. We never spoke before, but
Oh, yeah. I was hoping it was you. I was like, man, this will be a good
yeah,
guy to talk
yeah,
to come up and talk. Oh yeah. I'm a big
yeah.
fan of
So
you. Big fan. After I spoke to you one time.
Okay, so
yeah, so this is
that's
just
like round three of Richard's gonna pump the bags, right?
right.
To
Rich
sum
is
up
gonna
your
right.
okay.
So right. Richard's. I mean, whether he's part of it, and again, nothing. I mean, we can't know for certain, right? Unless you truly know the what exactly what's going on behind the curtains. You're not supposed to know. Even people very close to him, I don't think really know.
Okay, so that's the
But
fourth. Richard's gonna pump the bags. It's a good indicator. I like it.
yeah, well, the Poseidon has that power to do it. He can tank it, he can rug it, or he can magic carpet ride it. Right in between that process, what is he gonna do it now or later? Is he gonna do it when Ethereum pumps or before? It doesn't make sense to do it before. Oh man, my bags are lower. Okay, well, guess what? Deal with it. The shakeout continues until all logic and everybody else is exhausted, and at some point it will pump. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, there's more to it. There's deeper things that you can look at. But part of this whole process is to go through the trials and errors, and it's not going to be a quick gratification. Obviously, it hasn't been so far, but we don't know when that point is. So that's the main thing, and yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, I can't wait for the end of the cycle too. I'll full port back in all my gains, and by the absolute bottom of the next cycle, it'll be great. Good times.
Yeah, you mentioned something about yield too, and again, you mentioned there's an option for yield going back up. I think one way is to nuke some of those stakes. If I'm right in that, I'm not 100% sure, but part of the thing is that if we're an early staker like I am, then the yield that I used to get is not the same, but it's still pretty damn high. If it goes back up, we're in that same position where the yield is high again, right? But through this tough time, we don't know. Hey, do you want to take the money out now and cash out and go, or do you want to just hold on to your stakes and basically hope for that best scenario? So, but yeah.
So what's happening?
Bull
Well, what?
cases or bear cases?
I think I'm going to play down the middle. The play down the middle is Richard in the beginning gathered an audience that emulated the actions of Richard. Meaning that if Richard was gladiator, wannabe debater, Twitter troll of other coins, on board kind of path of outrage, which basically hexagons have the history from emulating the founder. And a lot of that actually inspired people that were from the 2016, 17 or earlier cycles not to be in the trading necessarily game, but in the stake game. I heard B Roots, he was up earlier and he said something about people being trained, and just about everybody that's a figurehead in this community has echoed that in their previous streams, tweets, videos, whatever it is. So the emulating the founder is the culture. The cult of personality is Richard. And if he builds it in, and he historically built it into this narrative that immutable code, the more people that participate, the lower your yield goes because, at the most it's 3.69% of the existing supply of hex per year is APY, but fewer stakers means that they get more reward, like the whole narrative around it, right? And that was basically the protocol that lives on Ethereum, rides on the free coattails of Ethereum, all of the narrative of 2018, 19, 20, and so forth. And that really brought together an audience of somewhere, in my guess, a few hundred that became a few thousand, that at the most 10,000 people, something like that. Like, I don't believe that there's 300,000 hexagons or anything like that. I believe that there's in the past 7 years, maybe there's at most 30,000. That's my high end that hold a coin. A lot lower percentage participate in anything to do with Twitter or YouTube content or even consume it on a regular basis. They just hold the coin. So that's the cult of personality. And then the cult of personality of the narrative that many of us have heard forever, not just in this community but everywhere, is you can fork code, but you can't fork community. And that's basically the Bitcoin story, the Bitcoin Diamond and Bitcoin Gold and everybody else that wants to launch a version of Bitcoin has always been the narrative that you're not going to Bitcoin Cash, Roger Vere's story. You're not going to basically split code and then double audience or double users. This is not going to happen. Like, there's a tribalism element to it. that really has played out even to 2025, 2026. So my thought process is that either through absolute design, forethought, Machiavellian, this is how it's going to play out from ICO, whether you call it an ICO or you don't, but basically a fundraise event of a sacrifice. uh, and the delay process and the fatigue element of when's it coming. If that's all by design, then that's all by design, and emulating the founder is what we have done for 7 years. And basically, whether you want to say that it's legalese protection, looking out for everybody else, as a narrative around why not to live stream, why not to be gladiator walking into the Coliseum and fighting, if there's a delay, a timing in the market, these are all things we put into the image that we call Richard Hart. We have experience with Richard Hart. We have image of Richard Hart. We have tweets from Richard Hart. We have live streams from Richard Hart. We show clips and AI, and we basically have a character in our head of who that person is. And the display has been emulate. And what I say by that is sacrifice funds, whether you love them or hate them, you think they're going to be deployed or not, do not live on this chain. They live elsewhere. They live on Ethereum. Sacrifice funds on other major projects do not live on this chain. There's $50 million was raised by liquid loans in stablecoin. Today, right now, if I look on chain and I just see what sits in people's wallets on the chain without being in pools, it's 39 million. That's across everything. And if you look at the LP of every pool, whether you're core or not, again, tied to something that's considered a stable coin, makes me think that the indication is don't stream. The price going down, whether it's, and this is another interesting thing, is because everybody that was around from BPD, from before BPD, Big Payday, did not necessarily think that the OA was going to reduce your, inferred 3x of your coins, 3 times as many coins because of Big Payday and the whole AA and Satoshi's coins are going to go to you and all this other kind of narrative that came around from the Hex story, right? But they were happy enough with 30% because the OA participated, for a day stake just like anybody could. And it's always been this guesswork about, is the OA going to behave any differently than Richard himself as an individual, an anonymous wallet, thousands of anonymous wallets? And so I have come to believe that Richard participates just like OA, just like me, just like you, anybody in this stream, anybody that's ever made content, and has the same freedom of choice to participate and buy coin and sell coin. And the OA is basically a front. The OA is a participant, and we can watch and we can wallet watch, right? And my belief is that that we hit all-time lows on everything, all of it, before we hit all-time highs. And the all-time highs you can call sacrifice, you can call it 50x on sacrifice, you can call it above wherever you got in, and there's going to be ceilings that people frustrate and get out if they break even or they come close to even or they make a 30% on their money or whatever the fucking narrative is. But I think that Hex went through 13 doubles. He could have sold on a double, could have sold on a double, could have sold on a double. And Pulse Chain could do the same thing. It could go all the way down below 1/10 of sacrifice price, just like PulseX has. It's gone all the way down to a tenth of whatever, tenth of its sac price. And if everything goes down, incentive coin goes below 40 cents, everything goes down. Multiples are a lot easier to fucking gloat about. Hexagons can be hexagons, pulsicans can be pulsicans. Everybody can point to their god of Richard and how he saw the future and the best performing thing of this cycle or the next one, whenever it can happens.
How do we reach people? How do we convert? Well, let's take the human aspect out of this and look at what blockchain is. It is simply a computer code, and there are multiple codes out there. Bitcoin is a computer code. Ethereum is a computer code. They are all the same thing. The only difference to each code is what people assign to it in an emotional value. There are blockchains out there that believe Satoshi is actually a arm of the government, And this was created by government that has legitimate thoughts to it. It doesn't get printed on paper. It doesn't take presses. There are legitimate ideas behind this was created by the government. Here we chain, we're DeFi. We don't want to be controlled. That's that we have applied to our chain. The main thing is we need to learn to agree to disagree with each other and how to work towards the same goal while agreeing to disagree. Because this is a tool. Do you remember who made a hammer? Do you remember the guy that came up with the first hammer? Do you remember a guy that came up with the first wrench? No. And then you lead to a bunch of people, much like you, Tiger. You want to protect people. The only way to protect people in this, them understand that they have to do research and be accountable for their actions, because that stops the hate. It's easy to point a finger. 80% of people, this is taught in sales over and over again, 90% of people need to be told what to do. They cannot think for themselves and they don't even realize it. That is the fundamental of sales. So if 90% of people on the whole world need to be taught what to do, yes, there needs to be a leader that people believe in. Richard is that figurehead, like it or not. If you believe in this, you kind of have to, in an extent, believe in him. Now, my critique for Richard is I kind of think he's the type of person that thinks he can just throw money at a problem and fix it. And he would be better off if he understood he needs a team. Perspectives are valid. This is why I respect KG for opening a space like this, because giving people room to have the freedom of speech, giving people room to disagree is needed. That's how we
It's
make
very
this better.
healthy.
Yes, this is how we work together. This is how we find a middle ground and we figure out a way forward. You know, we
I
can't be
got
over
so
here.
much hate for initiating this. I got so much hate. It's incredible, the DMs that are saying don't give them a place to speak. Don't do this. Block, 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 and that's not correct.
I get hate just for supporting you, Tiger, because, you know, people have fudded the chain before and then come back when it's gotten green candles and then fudded again. And people say you're just another one of those. But I believe, personally, you're not. I believe you really were trying to protect people. And that's,
Super
you know,
genuine.
I
Super, super.
and I came into this with that mentality because, oh my God, if I can learn, I can teach others and I can protect them. And then I found out, no, you can't. The only way you can protect people is to teach them to be smart.
Which is easier said than done. You're absolutely correct. I can't stress that enough. Like, very, very accurate.
And you know, that's where projects on Pulsechain come in, like Internet Money Wallet. I mean, look at what KG has built. You have time on Pulsechain, you have time on Ethereum, you have time on Avalanche, and he's not stopping. He's going to keep spreading. That's how we find adoption. We get adoption through the projects built on Pulsechain and we spread it out because everybody's going to have their own opinion on what this blockchain thing is. Some people are going to be all behind the government subsidizing this because it'll bring more money into it and reduce volatility. Other people are, screw it, I don't want anything to do with the government. That's what we're facing. People always need a leader, though. And Richard hasn't been around, be it for SEC reasons. You know, the appeal window closes July 6th. That could be what's holding him back. It might not be. You don't know.
One question. I got a question for you. What do you think would happen right now if he came out and spoke?
Candles across the board because so many people are so desperate to know that he didn't abandon his own product like so many others have. I think it would be green candles, but I do most importantly think as a community we could support each other and help each other learn enough that we could survive without him. It would be a harder road, but it is possible. And maybe that's why he stepped back.
To see what would happen is very possible. Very, very possible. You're correct.
And I would love for him to tell me I'm wrong. I would love for him to come out and put a tweet that, no, I believe in team. I believe in teamwork. One person can't do this. That is the biggest question of him, you know? But in the meantime, all we can do is keep building each other up.
Nothing big. I definitely am well beneath in the education that you guys have. But, and now this is from a very high level. This is, the opinion that I have on what you guys have been talking about. So I personally believe we're at the very beginning of blockchain adoption. I think that it's very important to figure out how to onboard new holders or investors, and that you need the education for them because they don't know anything about it. They're scared because they don't know anything about it. The majority of people don't know very much about crypto or what blockchain even is. So I think the really important aspect of it is use case and selling that use case to the potentially new investors, and in a way to explain it to them that don't know anything about it. And in my opinion too, that we are no doubt moving towards blockchain controlled infrastructure on more things than a lot of people realize. But we need to have a way for just regular new people that are investing who know nothing about it to easily understand why Pulse Chain or any other chain. I think Internet Money. I just learned about it recently. I've been more on the main centralized exchanges, and getting onto Internet Money is slightly different. But actually, PG and KG, definitely PG helped me recently. Just figure it out, right? Like I'm getting into the bridging and whatnot, but I mean that's why people don't listen. You're not having mass adoption. It's hard for people to understand how to do this, and if we can get that figured out in a way for the new investors to understand, or in a way that where it does it for them, then I think it's going to be a tough road until that point. So with that being said, I think there is a reason that everything's moving onto blockchain. I do believe decentralization is going to be the future. I do not think Ethereum is going anywhere, only up. It may go down first, but I believe it ain't going anywhere. So, how is Pulse Chain going to teach the new generation of crypto investors, or why Pulse Chain, right? I mean, I think that's the most important thing with any chain or new or say that for any of them, any chain that's out there is going to be why then. Like that's what got me onto many different tokens and whatnot, is hearing what their technologies bring, why they're doing it. So I'll cut this short, but so what's the business plan to onboard new investors in a way for it's easily digestible? And obviously, I believe that people that are united and not divided, you're going to have way more success in bringing more people on board, making that mass adoption actually happen. When people jump into something and they hear just, argument after argument, it just pushes people away. And I know it gets emotional. A lot of people have invested a lot of time and money, but I'm just saying from like an outsider perspective who doesn't know shit about any of that, like it just kind of pushes people away to not even want to deal with it. So, they don't know the history. And so they need guidance, education, understanding, and ultimately real life purpose of why they should be investing in one thing or another. And I will leave it at that. Thank you for the time, and I appreciate it.
So, first of all, thank you for jumping up and speaking. Welcome to the community. I'm glad you're a part of not only the Pulse Chain community, but of the Internet Money community. That's awesome. Glad to have you on board. And I'm actually glad you jumped up and said what you said, because that is a whole other element to all of this than has been spoken on. Where, there's been this in depth, nuanced, two sided perspective of good and bad and this and that, and all these things that those of us who have been very, very, very close to this thing and are highly technical people have been paying attention to for years on end now. We can sometimes become nose blind to what's going on here. And that is that we're actually trying to get people from the crypto industry into the things we believe in. But also, we're trying to get new human beings who have never been into crypto to get into the things we believe in. So, what can we do in order to bridge that gap? Which is a constant thing that we're thinking about at Internet Money. And I know other builders are also thinking about is how do we make blockchain easier? How do we make blockchain not feel like a beta product? I actually heard Crypto Wendy one time say the entire crypto industry is in beta. And I actually heavily agree with that. So we're constantly at Internet Money taking steps to make things easier and easier and easier. Not so that you can't do your advanced DeFi stuff, your advanced crypto stuff. Absolutely still needs to happen. But how is anybody ever going to become a crypto expert if they can't become a crypto newbie? So I hear you on that valid perspective. Thank you for sharing. And I know the American with the Pulse Punk had something to say, and then we'll go electronic and then ghost.
Yeah, the last part
And
of that,
fast Abdul.
the last part of my profile is muckraker. Muckraker means to expose corruption. Just a background on that. You can look it up. Anyways, I have a bullish and a bearish perspective. Let me just say my background is I've been in Bitcoin since 2012, still in Bitcoin. But I did watch when I first watched Richard Hart, probably in 2019, 2020. I believed he was authentic, and in fact, I probably adopted about 100 people onto the chain. Now, granted, I adopted those people when Hex was about 10 cents because I wanted them to experience the same joy that I had with the gains I got in Bitcoin. Well, it turned out they were all rug pulled. And I actually ended up almost giving all those 100 people their money, their value that they invest in Bitcoin back in Bitcoin because they had been rugged. You know, they've been screaming at me. And because these were close friends and family and business associates. And I come from a business background. And so the bullish thing I can say about Bitcoin is there are equitable men in this community that are building, that I do have confidence in, that, you know, are acting in good faith. Okay. Such as KG with Internet Money and a few others I've seen. And I consider them to be pillars of the community. But after looking and reflecting and watching all his videos and reflecting back on things, I can see he constantly contradicted himself and made contrary assertions. And, you know, such as, let's say one is the immutable code. Well, you all know that he's reduced that on the T-shares and the payout. So that obviously isn't true. It's not an immutable code. Things like him saying that, you know, let me finish, please, and then you can rebut anything I say. And then I think about him making the contrary assertions. Don't have any expectations. That you're not going to have any expectations of me, but yet he constantly gave expectations. The whole sacrifice of Pulsex. The reason the sacrifice was Pulsex was just another money grab to delay things because he said that the code was going to be released right after the Pulsex sacrifice after 30 days. So that didn't pan out to be true at all. And then on so many other issues, but I've thought about it over different conversations. And I never participate in these spaces at all, but I did in this one because of Jim Rat Crypto, because I listen to him and he does have a lot of truth in him, and I think he is being authentic. And I've been part of the Hex trading chat on Telegram that was deleted when he was sued, and that Hex trading Telegram was nothing more than the insiders trying to suck people in to dump on their heads. Makes sense. And anybody that has any business acumen wouldn't invest this train. There's a reason that in the stock business, when you have a company, you got to disclose any trades that you make, whether you're buying or you're selling, because people got to know what you're doing. But everybody knows that Hex was an artificial pump and dump with the ETH that was sacrificed. Every person knows it in crypto. To turn around and build Pulsechain. So Pulsechain was built on fraud. That's just a fact. I don't care whether you believe it or not. That's the way things are, and everybody in the crypto community knows it. So
That's your opinion.
it's not my opinion. The mainstream crypto knows it, and everybody in here that doesn't see
It's
the
actually
obvious hasn't been in the community long enough in the crypto community.
it's actually a little worse than that. If you look at it at brass tacks, Hex technically never did a 10,000x. If you just look at it that way, because the only reason why Hex did the 10,000x was because of Pulsechain. Everybody
So
bought it up and then re-sacrificed it. So like even him buying up those bags of ETH, he technically didn't even have to buy up those bags of ETH. He got people to just take their actual gains that they quote unquote had in Hex, and you know that's why like the people over here hurting so bad is because they're not down on this cycle. They're technically down on the last cycle plus this cycle. Like the big community members, they haven't had gains in 4 years. No, what is that? 8 years.
He has so many thousands of wallets, which everybody knows. There's been breakdowns. If you haven't been in the community long enough to go look and find it, then I can't help you. But that way we would have stability, because Richard openly brags. He just did a research. I know cryptocurrency better than you. Well, if that's so, if he knows, then why is cryptocurrency, why is all his coins sucking him down? You could say it's deliberate. It's 3D chess. I guess the Interpol red notice is 3D chess too. You know, the reason he moved out of the USA was so specifically he could do what he did so he could get with no jurisdiction, because they didn't have jurisdiction. Everybody thinks it was legitimate. That's not what the court said. They never had jurisdiction to begin with. So, you know, the best thing I think bullish thing I think is either he goes to prison or he dies. That's the bullish thing about Pulsechain that can happen. All right, I went ahead and muted just because, you know, when we're talking about people dying as bullish, let's maybe not do that. I'm gonna pivot there. American, thank you for sharing your perspective.
But that was my last point, was finishing off with some positive, buy the dip. And, I was in a spot where I had 10,000 hex. Now I have over 1 million hex. So like the light is there, don't let these bullish people say you can't buy a dip. But I'm done.
Hey, appreciate you sharing your perspective, and thanks for being cool about that. Truly.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Fast Abdul, go ahead, sir.
Thanks for having me up, KG. I want to present what I believe to be a bullish perspective for Pulsechain. I've noticed, in the past 6 months, we've actually seen more improvements coming from the Richard Hart team than we have in the previous 2.5 years, effectively. We have additions such as the curve-like stablecoin farms on PulseX. We have pumped up tires. Those are pretty major additions when we consider that we saw nothing for a long time before that, and in relatively quick succession. We've also seen a huge bump in the amount of interaction that RH has with the community. Some of it's obviously him talking about his workouts and stuff like that, but we see a much more active RH. We see him talking about things that are interesting, very recently he posted about marketing, and sort of implied, in my opinion, that 2 months was sort of the timeline where marketing might be seen of some type. He also asked some very interesting questions about call centers. It's my theory that he's likely to start some sort of crypto help desk call center that could be revolutionary in the industry using AI. That's what I took from those posts. I am reading into that. Those are just my opinions. But I think, we went a long time with nothing from him, and now comparatively we're getting a lot. I think he was literally, shackled in terms of what he could say in the past. Those shackles are still holding on a little bit, but I think we're coming to the end. We're coming to a date very soon where the SEC can no longer refile the case or something to that effect. Not financial advice, not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer or an accountant. But I think when we hit that line, we might even see Richard streaming again. And the effect of that would be humongous. If nothing else, I'm not saying that he's for sure a genius or that he's the smartest man in crypto, but he's a pretty good sales guy. It would make a difference. People would watch, people would react. He would make it on with some of the bigger influencers. And I think, in terms of attitude towards Pulsechain, at the very least, while they were on the screen with Richard, because he is a tough guy to be on the other side of a debate from, we would see, probably them being fairly polite to him at a bare minimum. So, pending that day, which I don't think is going to be very long, in my opinion, I'm bullish on Pulsechain. I'm bullish on more improvements. I think they're obviously PulseX could have substantial more improvements of what it has right now. I believe Richard is timing the market. He has a team that could do the things, could set limit orders, could make privacy pools. That stuff is, as far as the code, is not beyond him for understanding and not beyond his team to implement. And those things would make a huge difference. There would be, the moment there's, a major upgrade to PulseX, I don't mean the little add-ons that we've seen so far, something major. It'll be very substantial. The moment V3 ends up on PulseX, the moment that we have privacy options on PulseX or Pulsechain in general, I think we could see a huge pump. And as far as adoption of the greater community, outside of Pulsechain, to me, we can only go forward. Like I've listened to the people who are not happy, and I empathize strongly with that. I'm in a similar position in many ways. Obviously, I'm a builder, so I'm looking at things a little bit different. But we can only move forward, right? So like we can't fix past wrongs. We can only build something better going forward. So that's going to be my perspective, is going to be like, I'm going to be positive. I'm not going to be the positivity princess like SJ, but in my way, I'm going to push a positive scenario for Pulse Chain. And I think that that is what's really needed. If you want Pulse Chain to succeed, being positive in public with the community, behind closed doors, do whatever you want. But like, if you're a person who has a public platform and there's other people following you and you want Pulse Chain to do well, there is more to be gained from being positive than being negative. If there's negative things that you can address, in the back rooms, should you be a person with that power, then please do. But yeah, I'm just going to keep pumping it and telling people about the good things that I see. There are definitely huge good things on the Pulse Chain. And I think we are, like maybe there's more red candles, but I think there could be really, really big green candles in the near future, both because of the tech and because of the math. Thanks. That's it for good today. Thanks, KG.
I am going to share a bullish sentiment, and here's why. Execute brought up a fair point. Most people, Fast Abdul, I think you were just an exception to that rule. And there was one other gentleman earlier who may have kind of been an exception to the rule. I can't remember who exactly it was at this point. But a lot of the bullish sentiment comes from Richard's going to pump my bags. He has lots of money. Okay, he might. He might not. We don't know. Nobody knows. Okay. But one thing that I do know is tangible, and the reason that I stay bullish on Pulse Chain is the builders and the community. And here's why. When you go out there into crypto, let's use Binance as an example. Binance has been absolutely ripping this last few years. Every time I look at Binance, I'm like, how is this thing still ripping? It's doing great. BNB coin, I'm glad to have a bag. I build on Binance. I like Binance, but you're not really building innovative DeFi on Binance. People aren't over there for that. Some people on Solana are kind of over there for that. There's some cool stuff like crypto gaming and this and that on Solana, but largely people are buying meme coins. And a lot of that is happening on Pulse Chain too. But look at our meme coin communities. They're not saying, oh, haha, dog, dog or cat or whatever. They are to some extent. But we're also talking about liquidity webs and arbitraging and liquidity bonding and all these concepts, right? So even our meme coiners are trying to do gigabrain DeFi stuff with meme coins made on pump.tires. So we as a community are primed for crypto and DeFi innovation because the community can handle it at the highest level. There are not many other chains that can say that. Ethereum can say that, absolutely. Cardano can say that, absolutely. Learning a little bit about Chia, seems like Chia can say that. So there are other chains that can say they have a community that's primed for those same things, but our community is primed for any level of DeFi, big or small. Now that's one point. Point number two is when something comes in, a product, a coin, another influencer, a famous person, you name it, we also have a community that's primed to get the word out. If we had to spread the word throughout our community about anything, we could do that in less than 24 hours. It would go viral within the Pulse Chain community, just like that. Influencers they talk to each other, builders talk to each other, people in spaces talk to each other. We have networks. And what's a blockchain? A blockchain is a network. And we not only have a technical network at the blockchain level, we have social networks, we have builder networks, we have human networks. We actually have the most important asset that any blockchain could hope for. We could launch 100 other forks of Ethereum with no social network, and it wouldn't matter. The social network is what makes or breaks any product. Any product. It could be shoes. If your shoes have no social network, your product is dead because no one's talking about it, no one's wearing it, no one has brand affiliation, no one has passion. So the Pulse Chain community at every level is primed for anything to come into it, which is both good and bad because negative energy can overtake that sentiment. So my bullish case is that at the foundation, and then my pitch is actually, if anyone is out there listening and you're not on Pulse Chain, my pitch to you is build on Pulse Chain. I'm not saying you can't build on other chains. Our wallet, the Internet Money Wallet, supports every EVM chain in existence. Natively, we support over 40 different blockchains. You can cross chain swap between over 27 different blockchains. We have all of our immutable, no admin key smart contracts on 7 different blockchains. So we're building all over the place. But Pulse Chain is our home base. We constantly, everywhere we go out there in the world of DeFi, we're introducing people to Pulse Chain. So if you're a builder out there, I don't care what chain you're on, consider launching your product on Pulse Chain, even if it's an auxiliary chain for you, because the Pulse Chain community can not only handle it from a technical level, but a social level. And the word about your product will be spread. That is my bullish case because no other blockchain. I mean, look, Ethereum, yes, that's the exception to the rule. They're the mothership. Beyond that, I'm trying to break into BNB and Arbitrum and Avalanche and Polygon. They just don't have this influencer network. There's no quote community like there is here. And that I think is my ultimate bull case. There is things to be bearish about, yes, and the bears are valid. It has been years of destitute negativity. It has been. So anybody who's feeling bearish, I understand you. I see you. You're valid, but that does not discount the bulls.